in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane!
Something happens to you when you leave this town. The farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. I remember all of it.
What is up, guys? Kid Critic is back with another review, and this review is probably one of the most highly anticipated horror films in quite some time, and that is the sequel to It Chapter 1. That is right, it is It Chapter 2 time, folks, and I thought I'd rock an It shirt. Well, it's not the newer version, but it's the Tim Curry version, which is still a brilliant incarnation of Pennywise the Killer Clown. Yes, well, it does age a bit corny, but I mean, this is not a review of the 1990s miniseries, however, make sure to go check it out. But anyways, this is the review of It Chapter 2, which is directed by Andy Muschietti and stars Bill Hader, James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain, 4 other losers, and a killer clown played by Bill Skarsgård. And this movie is about...
Defeated by members of the Losers Club, the evil clown Pennywise returns 27 years later to terrorize the town of Derry, Maine once again. Now adults, the childhood friends have long since gone their separate ways, but when people start disappearing, Mike Hanlon calls the others home for one final stand. Damaged by scars from the past, the united losers must conquer their deepest fears to destroy the shape-shifting Pennywise, now more powerful than ever.
Now with all that out of the way, Joker, start this review for us.
And here we go.
Alright, so going into this film, I was obviously excited. I loved the trailers. I love the first one. I do quite enjoy the 90s version, but yes, as I said before, it is corny now, but Tim Curry is pretty freaky as the killer clown himself, Pennywise. And I have not read the book. I have not taken a majority of my lifetime away to read over 1,000 and a billion, kabillion pages, or even have listened to the audiobook, but I'm sure I will someday, maybe someday this year, who knows. But anyways, so going into this movie, I was really pumped, and coming out of It Chapter 2, I did not love this movie, but I did quite enjoy the film. Alright, now let's start off with the pros here. Now, the performances are really good. Now, Jessica Chastain is obviously fabulous. James McAvoy is also really good. Bill Hader, everybody's talking about Bill Hader, and I do agree with him. He's hilarious. He has lots of great moments in this film, and he's definitely one of the stand-up performances. Bill Skarsgård is just gets creepier and creepier as the killer clown Pennywise. I mean, he just haunts you. He haunts you. He does such a fantastic job. And yes, while I love Tim Curry, I'd probably put Bill Skarsgård over, but whew, creepy clowns just everywhere. I mean, goodness gracious. Now, I'm about to probably butcher this actor's name, but I believe his name is Teach Grant, I believe is his name. And he plays the older Henry Bowers in this film, and he does a utterly fantastic job of playing this character who's just traumatized with the events of the first It, but he still has a journey to go through in this movie, and he definitely did a great job in this film. Now you may have the question, is this movie scarier? Is it scarier than the first one? Is it less scarier than the first one? Or is it just on par? Now people have been saying, oh, it's not as scary. People have also been saying it's on par. And then some other people have said, oh, it definitely is scarier. I'm on the side that says it's a little bit more scarier than the first one. It does rely a little bit more on the scares than the first installment does. However, I do think they do a great job with a lot of the horror and intense and creepy sequences throughout the film, because boy, there was a lot of creepy sequences in this film, especially the first scene. I mean, the first scene is just horrifying, and I mean, I might sound like a psychopath right now, but it was a fantastic scene to start off the film, and overall, I think in the horror category, it does a pretty good job. I also think they did a good job of explaining why the Losers Club would forget about the events that happened in the previous It film, and also enjoy some of the new lore that they put into the story, because I was quite interested in, and maybe we can see a new movie based off of some of that lore, because I'm definitely interested in some of the stuff that they introduced into this film. They also filled in some blanks from the first It film. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, because I was actually wondering that myself as somebody who's a pretty huge fan of the first installment. And yes, while this film does have a good amount of pros, it does have some cons. And my first con of It Chapter 2 is that I felt like the first 20 minutes, the pace felt a bit rushed, except for that first scene. But after that first scene that was just amazing, the pace just felt rushed and it didn't give me time to process just everything that's happening, because a lot of stuff happens in that first 20 minutes. It's like, okay, we're doing this, alright, now that's happening, now that over there is happening, now Billy Bob Joe's getting a sandwich, and Billy Bob Joe's crossing the street. It's like, okay, chill, relax, and finally once they settle down in Derry, then the movie starts to have a nice pace, and now you can absorb everything. And yes, you can feel that almost 3-hour runtime, but I feel like after that first 20 minutes, it did have a nice pace going on. Now, I've said already in this review that they do use flashbacks in this film, and yes, I thought there was moments where they used flashbacks really well. However, while the flashback scenes are funny, they're good, they're great, you see the kid actors return obviously, because you see it in the trailers, and I think those scenes were good. However, I think there was moments where they relied on it too much, and you probably could have given more screen time to probably like that first 20 minutes. But I just feel like there was moments where you just didn't really need a flashback scene. Now, my third con that isn't quite too huge, however, I would say it's a minor flaw of the film. I feel like the actor who played Ben, I think he did a fine job. However, I don't think he had the charm that the actor who played the kid Ben in the first one. So that was just a minor flaw. I mean, it didn't really totally ruin the character. However, I would have liked to see more charm into that character. Alright, now overall, I quite enjoyed It Chapter 2. It did not disappoint me in any way. However, like the first 30 minutes, I was like, oh no, the pace is kind of bothering me, and it's kind of worrying me, because I'm like, oh no, I don't want this movie to be a disappointment. But I feel like once they got to Derry, the movie started to get a lot better, and I did quite enjoy It Chapter 2. And with that said, I am going to give It Chapter 2 a 4 out of 5 Fernies. Alright, so overall, I quite enjoyed It Chapter 2, even with its flaws. I really enjoyed the performances in this film. There's definitely lots of creepy moments and sequences in this film. Lots of gore, and Pennywise, that clown, like, get him out of my face. The new lore they introduced, I thought was very interesting. Connecting the dots between the first one and the second one, they did a pretty good job. And I also thought there was a pretty nice theme in this film as well. I also really liked how the film carried out the story arcs from the first one to this one, and seeing how it progresses through the second chapter. And I definitely think that's one of the highlight moments, especially with characters such as Eddie or like a Bill or Mike, and I thought they did a good job with those character arcs. Now, if you're wondering, oh, do you prefer It Chapter 1 or It Chapter 2? I'd definitely say It Chapter 1, because I think that movie had more charm than this one did. However, I mean, this film does have some charm, but nowhere near as the amount that the first one had. But however, make sure to go check it out, because I mean, it's It Chapter 2. I still had a good time with this film. And with that said, tell me down in the comment section below, what did you think of It Chapter 2? And don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always in every single Kid Critic video, look out for the next video or review, and peace.